Rain tapped lightly against the windows of Jefferson High as the morning bell rang. The air carried the usual mix of laughter, sneakers squeaking on tiles, and the smell of coffee from the teacher's lounge. But for one new student, this morning would mark the start of something she'd never forget. Her name was Kayla Reed, 17, brown hair tied in a neat ponytail, wearing a black hoodie and faded jeans. She had just transferred from another city, quiet, observant, and polite. Her classmates didn't know much about her, except that she always sat alone, head down, eyes sharp, like someone who was used to watching people more than talking to them. Kayla had been in Jefferson High for only 2 days when the trouble began. The school had its own hierarchy, jocks, cheerleaders, and a small group of bullies who ruled the hallways like they owned them. The ringleader was Brandon Cole, tall, broad-shouldered, and arrogant. His girlfriend, Tessa Miller, a cheerleader with an attitude sharper than her eyeliner, followed him like a shadow. Together with 2 friends, Logan and Chase, they made life miserable for anyone they thought was different. Kayla became their next target for one reason. She didn't talk back. The more silent she stayed, the more it bothered them. Bullies hate silence. It makes them feel powerless. So they had to break it. It started small. A shove at her locker. A whisper of laughter when she walked by. A watch where you're going, new girl. She ignored it all, calmly, as if their noise meant nothing. But Brandon couldn't stand being ignored. On the 3rd day, as Kayla was walking down the hall carrying her books, Brandon deliberately bumped into her shoulder hard enough to make her drop them. The books scattered across the floor. Students turned their heads, forming a small circle around them. Brandon smirked. "You got eyes or what? Oh wait, maybe you don't speak English, huh?" he said, mocking her silence. Kayla just crouched, picked up her books, and whispered, "Excuse me." Her voice was soft but steady. That only angered him more. Tessa leaned against a locker, chewing gum. "Wow, Brandon, she's got manners. Maybe she's too good for us," she sneered. The crowd laughed. Kayla didn't respond. She simply gathered her things and walked away. Her calmness felt like a slap to their pride. Later that afternoon, during lunch, Brandon decided to teach her a lesson. He and his crew cornered her near the back hallway, a quiet place behind the gym where no teachers usually came. Kayla was just about to head home early, backpack over her shoulder, when she saw them waiting. The moment she realized what was about to happen, her shoulders tensed slightly, but she didn't back away. "Well, well," Brandon said, stepping forward. "The quiet girl thinks she can just walk away every time. Not today." He smirked, cracking his knuckles. "You think you're better than everyone? You think you can ignore me?" Kayla took a slow breath. Her voice was calm, measured. "I don't think anything about you." That sentence hit harder than she intended. Brandon's jaw tightened. He moved closer, towering over her. "You've got a smart mouth for someone so quiet." His hand shot out suddenly, shoving her shoulder. Kayla stumbled back, keeping her balance, her eyes locked on his, cold, unflinching, and calculating. Tessa filmed on her phone, whispering, "This is going to be good." Logan laughed behind her. The other students nearby, mostly those too afraid to interfere, just watched. And then it happened. Brandon's fist connected with her face. The sound was sharp, echoing in the narrow hallway. Kayla's head snapped to the side, hair flying, backpack sliding off her shoulder. The crowd gasped. Even Tessa blinked. She hadn't expected him to actually hit her. For a moment, everything froze. Kayla stood there, motionless. Then, slowly, she turned her face back toward him. Blood trickled from the corner of her lip. Her eyes were no longer calm. They were focused. Deadly focused. She exhaled once, low and steady, and whispered something only he could hear. "Big mistake." Before Brandon could react, she moved. Her right foot shifted slightly back. Stance perfect, balanced. Her left hand rose just enough to guard, and then, with lightning speed, she threw a jab straight into his chest. It wasn't a wild swing, it was surgical. The impact drove the air out of him, his body folding instinctively. Before he could recover, her second punch, a cross, landed square on his jaw. The thud echoed through the hallway as Brandon's back hit the lockers. Everyone went silent. Tessa's phone nearly slipped from her hand. Logan stepped forward, shouting, "Hey!" But Kayla's glare stopped him mid-step. The way she looked at him wasn't like a scared girl. It was like someone who had spent years in the ring, reading body language, waiting for the next move. Brandon stumbled, coughing, clutching his chest. "What the hell was that?" he managed to say. Kayla didn't answer. She just raised her hands slightly. Textbook perfect stance, eyes locked. "I told you," she said, voice calm. "Big mistake." Logan tried to grab her shoulder from behind. "Bad idea." In one swift motion, she twisted her body, caught his arm, and threw him over her hip. A clean, fluid, judo-like move she must have learned from years of cross-training. Logan hit the floor hard, groaning. Now fear replaced arrogance. Chase backed up, hands raised. "We didn't mean," he stammered, but Kayla cut him off. "You don't hit people because you can. You hit them because you have to defend yourself," she said, her voice low, almost shaking with emotion. "You should learn the difference." Teachers started rushing toward the hallway, alerted by the noise. Students whispered, phones filming every second. Brandon was on the floor, dazed, clutching his jaw. Tessa stared at Kayla like she was seeing a ghost. The principal, Mr. Davis, arrived seconds later. "What's going on here?" he barked. The crowd parted. Brandon tried to speak, but Kayla stood quietly, her eyes down again. "He hit me first," she said softly. The teacher looked at Brandon's bruised face, then at Kayla's split lip, then at the floor where Logan was still trying to stand up. The silence that followed was heavy. Security escorted everyone to the office. Kayla sat quietly while the others shouted excuses. Brandon tried to twist the story, saying she attacked first, but the video said otherwise. Half the school had recorded, the moment she got punched, and then the way she fought back. It spread like wildfire before the end of the day. By the time classes ended, Kayla's name was everywhere. "The new girl's a boxer! She knocked Brandon out cold! She's insane! Did you see her combo?" Every hallway buzzed with rumors and awe. But Kayla didn't care about attention. She just wanted peace. That night, she sat on her bed in her small apartment. Her knuckles were sore, her face ached, but her mind was calm. On the wall above her desk was a photo, her and her late father, both wearing boxing gloves. He was her first coach, her best friend, the one who taught her discipline, not just power. "A real fighter doesn't start fights," he used to say, "but she finishes them when she must." She stared at the photo for a long time, whispering, "You were right, Dad." The next morning, she walked into school again. Heads turned. Some smiled respectfully, others whispered in fear. Brandon didn't show up. Rumor was, his jaw was bruised and he was suspended for a week. Logan avoided her eyes completely. Tessa's confidence had evaporated. She looked away when Kayla passed by. The same people who laughed at her silence now stepped aside when she walked down the hall. But Kayla didn't walk with pride. She walked with purpose. Quiet strength, not arrogance. She wasn't happy she had to fight. She just knew she had no choice. As she closed her locker, one of the younger girls from freshman year approached shyly. "Kayla," she said, "thank you. He used to push me too." Kayla smiled faintly. "You don't have to thank me, just stand up for yourself next time, even if it's just with words." The girl nodded, smiling nervously, and for the first time Kayla felt she'd made a difference. Not by winning a fight, but by showing that standing up wasn't about violence. It was about courage. By the end of the week, the story spread beyond the school. Local blogs, social media, even small news pages started talking about the girl who fought back. Some called her a hero, some said she went too far, but Kayla didn't care what they said. She knew who she was. A fighter with discipline, a boxer with heart. As the camera of imagination pans out, Kayla stands outside the school gate, the morning sun hitting her face, bandage on her knuckle, and a small smile of peace crossing her lips. A quiet voice echoes, her father's. "Remember, Kayla, the strongest punch isn't the one that lands hardest. It's the one you throw only when it's right." She looked up, whispering, "Yeah, Dad." I remember.